Welcome in to 2-for-1 Drafts. Austin Gayle here with my guy, Mike Renner. Nitro side by side. They put too much cream in that coffee. You're a sick bastard for that.
I asked for just a little cream.
I don't know, man. That looks like a fucking smoothie, if I'm going to be honest. Anyway, today on the podcast, super excited for this episode. We got the 2021 NFL mock draft, courtesy of Mike Renner. Took 3 quarterbacks in the top 5. Trayvon Moore goes at 32. We'll get into some of my favorite picks in that mock draft. Also have an interview with formerly Miami, Florida's Gregory Rousseau, who I thought was, tease the interview a bit, Mike, I thought was outstanding. I think his rationale for opting out, his mom is a nurse, really advocated for not participating in this season, knows that he has a lot of opportunity to work on things. But I think his most engaging answers were, how is he going to get better in game situations, improve pass rush ability, run defense, all that stuff? Because everyone can work out on their own, run combine drills, practice their 40 start times, all that stuff. But actually trying to get game film and stuff on tape, I thought his answers were interesting.
I thought it was interesting that when we talked about just like his frame, he's like, yeah, I can get, pretty much I can play any position I want with how, I'm built. And it's,
dude, he brought up Calais Campbell.
Yeah.
Like he was like, I watch a lot of Calais Campbell. It's like, dude, you're going to have to get to 3 bills to be a lot like Calais Campbell. But he could.
Yeah,
he definitely could. His frame is like
freak.
Is not maxed out. He said he's played at 240 this past year, up to like 265 range this upcoming season, could get to 280. He said this guy is a freak of nature.
That is the other crazy thing. And I didn't even bring this up in the interview with him because I didn't want to bore him with some stats. But his best, he used to get like an 88.8 pass rushing grade on the interior last year. He was 240 whatever pounds. Like you get that guy up to like 275 in the NFL. Play him at 5 tech, like that guy could be wreaking havoc against guards in the league. So
I kind of love that because we also talked a little bit about his role, and I don't know how convinced I am because his pass rush moves list is not lengthy. I think he still needs to develop from a tools perspective.
That's the thing. He's much better on the interior than he was actually
so
against
much
tackles.
Better because he just takes advantage of no lateral quickness on the interior. Got guards that can't move side to side. Got
and they're not
destroyed by him.
They're not as long. Guards are much shorter. He gets that first contact right away.
I think a versatile role in the NFL is definitely destined for Gregory Rousseau. We talked about potentially a Jadeveon Clowney. He liked that comparison. He said he might send us some videos of his workouts here. We'll get to that. Also wanted to shout out Garrett Mills. Garrett Mills won the PFF Elite subscription for rating and reviewing 2-for-1 drafts. Really appreciate you, Garrett Mills. Really appreciate the support. And on that note, PFF's 2021 NFL Draft Guide, the preseason version with 100 exactly player profiles came out today. And those that rate and review the podcast could receive a 2021 NFL Draft Guide. We're going to send out 10. So if there's only 10 reviews, all 10 of you are getting them. If there's 20, it's half. Let's not do the math all day here, Renner, but sending out 10 draft guides. Super excited about that. Rate and review the podcast right now. You can pause it, come back, or you can rate it after we get through this podcast. Also wanted to mention PFF's College Football Grades Plus and CFB Premium Stats Plus subscriptions are live. Mike, before I dive into the promo code offer, all that stuff, what is your opinion of finally unleashing what has been previously sold to just NFL and NCAA teams? College football data from PFF.
I'm upset. That's my secret sauce getting out there. That's what my advantage is over everybody else, and now everyone gets to have it. So, the stuff back that you'll get is incredible. The stats and whatnot that we have behind the scenes that you get with the College Football Premium Stats subscription is. They've never been available to the public before this. They just have not. So
the only people that have had access to it is
I would have loved this shit.
ESPN, NFL media, some teams, some agents and stuff. Like consumers, standard subscribers have not had access to this data really outside of the draft guide. And to kind of break down the subscriptions more, CFB Grades Plus runs you at $30 a year. You get PFF's first ever college football preview magazine, courtesy of Seth Galina and Anthony Tresh. And you also get PFF's college football grades pages, which look exactly like the NFL grades pages, but include grades for every single FBS player from 2019 and will move to 2020 when the first game is played. In the CFB Premium Stats Plus subscription, you get all that I just mentioned, NCAA Premium Stats dating back to 2014, and NCAA Greenline PFF's betting dashboard. And I didn't even get to the best part, Mike. CFB25, promo code CFB25 saves you 25% off your CFB Grades Plus or CFB Premium Stats Plus subscription. I'm pumped. I'm jacked.
What a fucking year to drop this stuff.
Yeah. It is a tough year to drop this, but I do feel like here's my take. If you are an NFL draft stan, a diehard, aspiring evaluator, or just do it on the side, I think this is a must because it really does provide statistics and production analysis that you can't get elsewhere, or else all you can do is, study traits and study the film. Looking at some of this advanced stats and seeing how it correlates to the NFL, I think is super important. All right.
Growing up, I would have begged my parents to buy me this.
There you go. You still can. I think your parents still support you in a lot of ways. All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump. Let's go ahead and jump to, before we dive into the mock draft, I also want to bring up this. What's going on with the Big Ten right now? Justin Fields comes out with a petition that I think has over 250,000 signatures now.
Did you sign it?
I did sign it. I did sign that petition.
Actually,
you didn't sign that?
I'm not an activist.
Anyway, but I signed that petition. I think it's over 250,000 signees there, but also you're hearing some rumors in the Big as well. So potentially some home and home games.
Yes, apparently 6 teams. Now it's Ohio State, Iowa, Nebraska. Oh gosh, I should know them off the top of my head, but I don't. Maybe Michigan and Wisconsin. Home and homes is the possible. They're working together to organize this fall to get home and homes this fall for a full college football season, which I didn't know I needed home and homes until the idea just got passed to me that they could have home and homes. How awesome does that sound to play, Michigan, Ohio State twice a year? Like at one in the big house, one in the shoe, like that. That would be a good ass time.
That sounds
that's better than seeing.
I don't think fans will
Ohio
be there.
State pour it on Cincinnati every couple of years, or Ohio. Like those are trash games. I want to see them against the big boys every single time. And the home and homes makes it just that much more.
You get the shoe and the big house. I mean, damn, that sounds like a lot of fun. The thing I'll say with that too, though, is that it's got to be tough specifically for Ohio State. You have Governor DeWine saying fall sports can start for high school football.
Yeah.
And Ohio State can't.
Yeah.
I find that insane. It's got to be tough for Ohio State to move forward to this fall season when others are still planning for it. I think it's only going to get worse for the Big Ten commissioner and those that made this decision to move away from fall sports when you see Alabama successfully playing in October, when you see the Big 12 successfully playing in October and so forth. I think that's going to make – I will say this. My take on the petition, I don't think that's enough to pressure the Big Ten into reverting their decision. I think it would – I just can't imagine that they do that. They've already lost so much time.
I just don't – I don't think there's any reverting from the Big Ten as a whole.
Yeah.
It's going to take almost a mutiny from the teams themselves that really want to play. The non-Northwesterns, shall we say, the teams that like have a lot at stake here financially.
Yep.
If they miss a full season, I think those are the ones we're going to see do it. I mean, what just got floated out there, the possible 6-team home and home.
Dude, a home and home would be outstanding.
Yeah.
Absolutely outstanding. All right, let's dive into what everyone tuned into the podcast for, the 2021 NFL mock draft. Jumping in at number 1, Jacksonville Jaguars select quarterback Trevor Lawrence. We don't have to talk about that a ton. Trevor Lawrence is likely the number 1 overall pick, whichever team is picking there. I think there's a non-0% chance Washington picks there and opts for Trevor Lawrence at number 1 overall. They're here at number 2, drafting Justin Fields from Ohio State quarterback to a better Ohio State quarterback. Justin Fields is graded better than Dwayne Haskins has at Ohio State, and the systems have been similar. We've brought that up before about there are some concerns that Dwayne Haskins earned a grade under 84.0 playing at Ohio State. Seth Galina wrote a fantastic article about how good that offense is and how easy that offense is to produce in. The fact that Justin Fields can practically break PFF grades at the quarterback position, Haskins couldn't, is a concern.
Haskins would feel just such like shit if the Washington drafts Justin Fields, which also, by the way, first time I ever wrote out Washington football team, it was electric to write out. That felt,
Did you relive it every night or what?
Washington football team just rolls off the tongue. But if they are picking 1 or 2 next year, Washington, it's because Dwayne Haskins wasn't good enough. So you are drafting a quarterback. You are drafting one of these guys because Dwayne Haskins wasn't good enough. And the thing is, Dwayne Haskins, he had Paris Campbell and Terry McLaurin there at Ohio State and didn't grade out as well as Justin Fields. He also had Chris Olave. I mean, Olave was a freshman, but he had better talent, probably objectively, than Justin Fields did at the receiver position, yet could not get the job done.
Good on defense, strong offensive line, similar offensive scheme. It's not night and day here. You're comparing very similar offenses, one of which Justin Fields has blown the doors off of, and Dwayne Haskins have left a lot to be desired. All right.
And the order, by the way, by Super Bowl odds. We're not.
No one cares about that. I have a take here.
No, people do though.
Why? Why do people care about preseason mock drafts and their order? It's every single time based on odds. Every single time. I did want
to almost do it just based off of who I thought was gonna. I was gonna be like, this is based off of just purely my opinion. I wanted to put it at the beginning.
I can't stand people who reply to mock draft tweets or whatever it is saying, "No way this team picks
industry
4th. No way this team picks." It's like, dude, this is based off Las Vegas Super Bowl odds. You can go back to your your mom's basement where I also reside. Number 3, Miami Dolphins take Penei Sewell. You've said this before. He's going to be the first non-quarterback selected in the 2021 NFL draft, regardless if the Pac-12 plays another snap.
Yeah. The crazy thing is, and I keep bringing this up, he was 18 years old last season. He's not going to turn 20 until October.
That's insane.
Year. He's also 330 pounds, and he moves like a tight end. The guy he's a freak every sense of the word.
He was 18 in that Auburn game where he's out there dominating.
I'm excited to see what his brother looks like. Have you seen his brother's high school highlights? He's like a 265-pound linebacker. He's probably going to end up like a DT because he moves like he flies around the field, but he's like enormous. The guy's... I'm excited to see what he does at Oregon.
That's got to be exciting. All right, number 4, Cincinnati Bengals picking. They grab linebacker Micah Parsons. We've talked about him a ton on this podcast. The best defensive prospect in this class, I'd say. A generational talent at off-ball linebacker. He has the athleticism and not more importantly, but equally important, the production. You see it against the run. You see him recognize blocking concepts, play recognition, all anticipatory mover. That combined with athleticism is why he's a generational linebacker. You compare that to Devin Bush, Devin White. I think they had fantastic movement skills, but they weren't anticipatory movers, guys that really predicted what was going to happen and reacted to plays early in the down. Number 5, quarterback Trey Lance, going to the Carolina Panthers. Do you think the Panthers are one and done with Teddy B?
So I was actually on Carolina radio last week, and I said, if you are in a position, again, the same as Dwayne Haskins' argument, if you're in a position to grab one of those top 3 guys, it means that Teddy Bridgewater wasn't the guy, because for as probably bad as the talent is there in Carolina, it's not on the offensive side of the ball. They have talent offensively. Absolutely. They have some of the best positional, the best weapons of any team in the NFL, probably top 5 in that regard, and an offensive line that it can get the job done. So you have enough there to say if Teddy Bridgewater is your guy. If you are all of a sudden drafting top 3, top 4, top 5, and you have a chance at a guy like Trey Lance, Justin Fields, whoever it may be, you go get that guy, because it means Teddy Bridgewater wasn't good enough to get you out of a top 5 pick last season.
And PFF will always advocate for that. Will always advocate if you're in a position to get a very good quarterback and your quarterback isn't good or you haven't seen it from him to be that next caliber type of player, get the quarterback. It's the most important position on the football field by a country mile. And if you're ever drafting in the top 5 and one of those big names fall to you, we were advocating that Washington went after a quarterback at number 2 overall this past year. Tua Tagovailoa at 2 did make some sense.
Yeah. And it's what would the Titans have rather had? Would you rather have Mariota, or would you have rather had Carson Wentz? That year they traded out of the number 1 pick. Those teams, if it gets that bad that you are drafting that highly, in almost all likelihood, means that he wasn't your guy.
New York Jets picking at number 6. They grab wide receiver out of LSU, Jamar Chase. I love this comment you have in here. Chase can shake you and straight bully you. I also think he's got absurd speed for his size. He's a great straight line runner. I think very good at the releases, and also very physical. Beats some more physical cornerbacks in the SEC. I don't see another receiver, especially with Rondale Moore opting out of the 2020 season. Mm-hmm. I don't see another receiver passing him up. I think he's wide receiver 1 through and through.
100%. I completely agree with that. He's that good. But this one's the interesting one. They're talking about the New York Jets here. What do they do if they're drafting top 3, top 4? Because they didn't put, Carolina put a lot of talent around Teddy. They still have shit around Sam Darnold. That offensive line still is not good, even though they completely 5 new starters this year. The wide receiver talent still not good. And they're trying to emphasize Le'Veon Bell this year instead of giving the ball more to Sam Darnold. And obviously your head coach doesn't have the greatest track record with, just offense in general, shall we say. So it could be bad there for New York. They could be drafting 1, 2, 3 in 2021. Do you give up on Sam Darnold then?
I think so. Absolutely. I think you have to eventually pull the trigger. And if you're drafting...
giving up, though, also to draft a guy. But
especially because I doubt that they're in a position to pick Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields when it's all said and done. But I think they will have an opportunity at Trey Lance. And I think Trey Lance, somewhat similar to Jordan Love in terms of
Mahomesian.
You have to draft the arm talent and maybe develop him behind Sam Darnold for a year. But if he blows it up, then you have him take over. Number 7, New York Giants take edge defender Gregory Rousseau of Miami.
Plus you got an extra first rounder as the Jets, so you can still give him some help later in the draft.
That's true. All right, edge defender Gregory Rousseau, the guy we're interviewing at the back end of the podcast here, goes to the New York Giants at 7. Going to move ahead here.
Luckily, we had him as edge 1 going into the interview.
Geez,
he was 6th edge on our board, and hey, sorry, we don't think you're a first rounder, Greg.
The thing I want to mention with Rousseau, I know I said I wanted to move quickly, is last year was his redshirt freshman season.
Yeah.
Like he's only played one real legitimate year. And even this past year, I would argue that a lot of his production was on stunts. A lot of his production was just beating really bad competition. He needs to get a lot better if he's going to be dominant to the levels of a Chase Young or these guys that are really polished coming out.
That's the thing, is don't expect him to be Nick Bosa in 2021 when he comes out. Like, don't expect him to hit the ground and be lights out right away. But I think he has, as impressive as he was in such a limited time after, playing all over in high school and not focusing on defensive line and then getting injured his first year in college and not having that practice time, I think the arrow is trending massively upwards for him, and he'll get there eventually.
Yep. All right, number 8, Las Vegas Raiders still continuing to attack pass rush. Christian Barmore, who is the next name in Alabama, in Tuscaloosa, to kind of blow up. If he does, the SEC is still planning to play in the fall. If he does get that opportunity, only on 269 snaps this past year, an 88.1 pass rushing grade, that is a telltale sign for another one of these Quinnen Williams types that really blows up. And I think you see it already with Barmore.
I was going to say, so Marvin Wilson's our defensive tackle 1 right now. I would just bet money that changes by the time the draft happens.
Yeah.
If we get a fall season. Mm-hmm. If we see him play. Just Barmore.
Wilson doesn't have the juice that Barmore has.
He has more physical.
At every position, nearly, you're looking for juice. You're looking for explosiveness. I think it's a big reason why I don't see Shaun Wade potentially moving upwards as an outside corner. I think he needs a little bit more juice. Obviously, he's a fluid mover, former 5-star, but I think that explosiveness is so important at every position now. And when you see it in Barmore, even on just 269 snaps, you get a little excited.
Yeah, and that's like the Caleb Farley why I said it's going to be difficult to unseat him. No one just has that explosiveness and size that he has at corner. And obviously he's been productive. So,
all right. Number 9, Miami Dolphins take linebacker Dylan Moses. Interesting pick here because he has not played a ton of football. He is all hype, I would say. Not all hype. He has some good production. He has really good pass rushing production early in his Alabama career. There's some splash plays you like, but a lot of it's hype because he's this big name recruit guy that got offered at in 8th grade by LSU at an Alabama camp, by the way. He was it was an Ole Miss camp. He was at a different team's camp and LSU offered him through the rumor mill or whatever it may be. This guy has been training since he was 12 years old with his dad.
Doing like 3 a days.
3 a days, 500 push-ups a day or whatever it was with his dad. Absolutely.
I don't even do 3 a days. I work out a lot. Don't do 3 a days.
Absolute freak that is Dylan Moses. He goes to the Dolphins at 9. Detroit Lions at 10.
I just want to say about that, I think Moses in a man-heavy scheme is going to be his best fit. Okay. Blitzing and playing man coverage, I think is
if you don't rush the passer with Moses, you're making a mistake.
That's his bread and butter. I think if you're drafting him into some place like, you want him to play just cover 3 all day, I don't think it's going to be nearly as impactful.
Number 10, one of my, this receiving class, man, when you first said it, you said it early in the process. This 2021 class could be, if not will be, better than the 2020 receiving class. And as I look at these names on this list, Jalen Waddle comes in at number 10 to the Detroit Lions. Absolutely electric. Potentially a better prospect than Henry Ruggs if he's given the opportunity this fall.
I think he will be. He just, plays faster, off the line of scrimmage with the ball in his hands. And I don't want to say play faster because Ruggs obviously did play fast with the ball in his hands, but it's just more dynamic.
He's jittery.
Ruggs was Paris Campbell-y in terms of just in a straight line, you just weren't going to touch this guy, and you'd bounce off him in a straight line. But Waddle has, elite return ability, elite just ability in space to make you miss. And so 12.2 yards after the catch per reception last year. Tops in all of college football.
That's insane.
He's a monster. He just is.
I think he, again, could go under the hashtag fun to watch, too. In addition to being a top 10 caliber prospect, I think his tape is incredible. Also, producer Mike, going to need Paris Campbell-y in the timestamps. Can't lose that one. That one is a fantastic way to describe. All right, Jacksonville Jaguars at 11. Cornerback Caleb Farley. PFF's cornerback one. I think, again, people like Patrick Surtain. People like Shaun Wade. I don't think they're overtaking Caleb Farley. I think Caleb Farley is the cornerback one, a true outside corner with the length and athleticism necessary to be match and mirror at the next level. Yeah,
so the thing is, you drafted him high because he's a man corner, and there's kind of that dichotomy where he's man corner, but he's played 60 snaps in press man coverage in his career at Virginia Tech. So you don't necessarily know, but I think we've seen enough that
Senior Bowl would be fine.
Senior Bowl would be nice if he can get there. Apparently, Jim Nagy said he's not on track to do it, but obviously online courses, you could take 30 credits this fall. Maybe, who knows? He's not doing
he's not playing football.
Yeah, but I will say that his speed is legit. If it's not 4.3, there was no one who got past him and then separated down the field from him. He was making up steps on every guy. And when you're big and when you're fast, it just gives you so much leeway in terms of what you can do from a technical. You don't have to be perfect with your technique. You just have so much ability to make up ground. And as the Colts GM likes to say, Chris Ballard, give me guys who can make mistakes and make up for it.
Yeah, I think that's great. I was reading, I think it was Dane Brugler who did an interview with some coaches and evaluators talking about no one's drafting looking for a zone corner right now. People want man corners. People want guys that can really match a mirror, shadow guys at the next level. It really does allow your defense to be that much more versatile. It allows you to do so much more things.
And you don't have to worry about like RPOs and shit, like some schematic aspect. You just you take away when you play just press man coverage.
All right, let's move a little bit more quickly here. Los Angeles Chargers at 12, edge defender Carlos Basham Jr. He goes by Boogie. Might need to keep talking about him with the Boogie.
Calling a grown man Boogie,
really?
That's tough.
I can.
Although he's like 275, I call him whatever he wants me to call.
Fair. But he goes to Chargers at 12. I mean, Melvin Ingram's contract status is interesting. I think
he's the first holdout, non-holdout.
Yeah, holding out but not practicing, which I feel like is smart.
Well, the new CBA, if he were to miss practice, he would have to pay the fines or whatever. He'd get boned. So they kind of they thought they eliminated holdouts by that, but now he just shows up to the building and says, "No, I'm not going to
Jeez. But I mean, we talked about Carlos Basham a ton. I think he's one of the better edge defenders in this class. Obviously, 12th here on the mock draft. I think with him, I'd still want to see more polish because I do think he plays like a bull in a china shop a lot, and he is a bull. Yeah. I mean, if you give him a china shop like some of the freaking offensive tackles in the ACC, he's going to wreck them. But I think he needs to go against some top tier talent. Better his moves, better his pass rush moves. I say that about every edge defender in this class. Every edge defender in this class has a ceiling, a very good one. But if you're not going to get better from a moves list perspective, it's hard to really predict legitimate success in the NFL.
That's the sad part about not having football this fall for live guys. The edge class is just full of
We need those videos from Rousseau, man.
But I will say Basham, he's a better prospect to me than Marcus Davenport. Davenport went 14th, so I think you can pencil
You've made that
Basham
comp
in the
before
15th.
as well.
Yeah, they're very similar in their skill set. I just think Basham's a little more explosive and just a little better at this point.
Denver Broncos at 13 take offensive tackle Sam Cosmi out of Texas. Garrett Bowles has not lived up to expectations. Jawan James is a high floor producer at tackle, but has never been an elite one in the NFL, and he opted out of the 2020 season. I think Sam Cosmi, another guy in this class that you really want to see him play football in the fall because his ceiling and his athletic ability, his feet all stand out as high ceiling type of prospect, but there is some plays on his tape where you're kind of scratching your head. Yeah, stronger is another thing too. All right, let's jump to 14. Atlanta Falcons edge defender Kwity Paye out of Michigan, the number one player on Bruce Feldman's Freaks list, the guy that can reportedly run a 6'3" three-cone at 270 pounds, 272 pounds. If he runs that, he might be going top 10.
That's what I'm saying.
That's not okay.
If he even touches sub 6'6", he's going to go in the top 16 picks. I don't care what his tape says. Rashawn Gary's tape was trash, and he went 14th also. He went 14th? Yeah, 14th also.
Yeah.
He's going to get drafted highly. Someone's going to buy in. And his tape's not awful.
No.
He just is...
No moves. That guy puts his helmet into the inside shoulder of the tackle on so many of his pass rush reps. But he has the bend. He has the ankle flexion to really turn the corner if he learns some better hands in that thing. And I think that's important with Kwity Paye.
I learned that I enjoyed was... Oh, wait, never mind. I'm a different guy.
Oh, no.
Keep going.
Jeez. 15, Arizona.
Always was a basketball player until junior year.
Oh, wow.
So I've all in on OA now.
There you go.
Love former basketball players.
With Kwity Paye, too, we've talked about this before, but a little bit in his background. Played running back at a small high school in Rhode Island. I think all high schools in Rhode Island are probably small, though, to be fair. I mean,
Providence is a big city.
Really?
I don't know. It's not
I don't know. Coming from California,
Illinois.
Every high school is small, east of California, really. But let's get to the Arizona Cardinals. They grab one of my favorite tight ends in the class. I almost like this guy more than Pat Freiermuth. It's Kyle Pitts of Florida, a guy that could legitimately have a Travis Kelce-like impact in the NFL because I think he can play outside. He can play the nub and trips to the left or whatever it may be. He can do so much in open space. He can do it after the catch. I think Kyle Pitts is where the NFL teams want to go at the tight end position. I just think you need to see more of it. I think I want more targets. I want more opportunities to see him with the football.
Well, so before you scream at me, the Cardinals don't use a tight end. Why would they draft Kyle Pitts? You just described it. This dude would be a first round pick. If he was a wide receiver, he'd probably be like a first round pick. He had more receiving yards than why can't I think of any names today? Van Jefferson.
Yeah.
There's just so many names. He had more receiving yards than Van Jefferson last year, and Van Jefferson was a second round pick. And another guy, he's not even 20 years old yet. This guy's young as producing in the SEC. I think if he just can
and creating separation too, that's what I love.
Yeah.
I mean,
if he
tight
can scrape
ends,
250, this guy he's going to be a very high
it's
draft.
so rare, especially at the collegiate level, that you see enough of a sample size of a tight end going against single coverage concepts to feel comfortable about his ability to separate. With Pitts, there's a handful of reps against LSU. There's a handful of reps against other teams in the SEC, and it's dominant. All right, Chicago Bears at 16. Grab who you think is the best interior offensive lineman in this class? Wyatt Davis of Ohio State. What makes Davis?
Not alone. There's other people.
Yeah. What makes Davis so great?
He's got one great balance. He's just so under control.
Balance at the
balance on interior offensive lineman, and he is
balance over finish.
Oh, all day, all day. Great balance, and he's actually got a little more power and athleticism to his game than Jonah Jackson. I was raved about Jonah Jackson's balance, but with Davis, he'll bury guys at times. That was not going to be Jonah Jackson's game. This is not going to be his game in the NFL. I think Davis has that combination of pretty much everything across the board, and that's why you could see him be a top 16 pick even as a guard.
You saying Jonah Jackson remind me of Jonah Williams. I saw a training camp clip of him playing tackle finally, and it was exciting. I didn't send it out. I kind of just injected it into my veins by myself. But it's fun to see him playing football again. One of my favorite interviews I've ever done is with Jonah Williams, one of the smartest players I've ever talked to. Really diligent with his work ethic. I think he's going to be a good player. All right, 17. Tennessee Titans. Wide receiver Devontae Smith. I love Devontae Smith. Some people are saying, though, he's not fast. Is Devontae Smith not fast? I've seen that he could run in the 4.5s, 4.6s from some people. I don't buy it. This guy has legit speed. He burnt Derek Stingley a handful of times. And I'm not talking about the rep where Stingley's looking to the sideline. He could get by Derek Stingley with good speed. I think Devontae Smith is somewhat getting slept on in this class a little bit.
I'd be very surprised if he doesn't break 4.5.
Yeah.
That would blow my mind just because he plays faster than that. And he has very, very good ball skills. The only thing I worry about is that he is 175. He's the
small.
skinniest receiver you'll see.
And he doesn't have Marquise Brown speed.
And that's the thing. When you're 5'9", 175 or 170, you're usually agile. You're usually shifty. But when you're 6'1", 175, you're less dense. You don't have as much muscle mass per capita. I don't know how to even describe that. But you are not the same as being 5'9", 175, and you're probably less shifty because you're a little taller. And so I just worry about that. Obviously, that's, I think, why he came back to school. He said, I need to get bigger. He has to get bigger. And so we'll see what he looks like this season. But I still think with his ball skills and his ability to, attack the football at that size still is impressive. That's why he led Alabama receiving yards last year.
This next pick, I'll say, is very unlikely, though I do love the player. 18, Cleveland Browns grab Purdue wide receiver Rondale Moore. I just don't without a season to play and how small he is and the injury history, I think there's enough to push him outside of the first round. Yes, he could blow up the combine, but I don't know. I think there's going to be some teams that are hesitant to draft him in the first round.
If he runs a 4.3 anything,
fair
4.39
and a sub 6.6 3 cone, something along
just
those
4.3
lines.
anything, he's going in the first round.
Okay.
Again, speed plays, and you assume an upward trajectory of guys' careers. Guys don't peak as true freshmen. So for him to have 114
that's why Dominator
catches,
rating exists.
So 1,258 yards, 12 scores. I think he broke Dominator rating with that freshman year. That is about as good a freshman year as we've seen in college football history from a receiver.
Absolutely.
So
I think he still has the PFF college record for yards after the catch per reception by a true freshman. What he did that year was truly incredible. And he did it against very good competition. He toasted Sean Wade from the slot a handful of reps in that Ohio State game. I really do think he's going to be an elite player. I'm just interested to see how much these evaluators weigh in the injury.
I don't think Sean Wade was playing that year.
Dude, you got to turn back on the tape. 2018, he definitely was playing that year. 2018?
Okay, 2018, my bad.
Come on, man. Are you serious? All right, 19. Let's move quickly here. 19. Yes. I keep saying that, but we keep loving on these guys here. Loving on these guys is not the expression I wanted to use personally.
You were doing that.
Yeah. 19. Pittsburgh Steelers interior offensive lineman Trey Smith, the guy that we've talked to about with Jeff Schwartz, who's a big fan. He's played a good amount of snaps this past year, but he's struggled to develop because of an injury. I think blood clots in his lungs have kept him from really developing into the player everyone thought he would be coming out as a coveted recruit at Tennessee, but he goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers at 19.
That dude's just a Steelers offensive lineman.
Yeah.
The way he plays, he would fit in right there.
Nice. 20, New England Patriots drafting at 20, which is rare to see, but you have tight end Pat Freiermuth of Penn State.
I had to do it.
You just had to do it.
Yeah, I had to do it.
Make the Gronk comparisons now.
Yeah, that's just the type of. He's in a Gronk mold. He's not Rob Gronkowski, but that's like a jumbo guy with some actual after the catch ability, some actual ability to get open. I think he is a very much a first round pick. He doesn't have to play this year to be a first round pick. If Cole Kmet can go 50th or whatever he went, middle of the second round, this guy's a first round pick.
Number 21, Minnesota Vikings. You haven't brought this name up a lot on the podcast. Edge defender Joshua Kendo of Florida going to the Minnesota Vikings. Talk to me about this one.
Dude's a freak. I mean, physically, he looks like Gregory Rousseau. He's 6'7", 265.
Not a lot of people look like Gregory
Flexible.
Rousseau.
I know, right? Like, the guy is ridiculous looking. Former 5-star, but also it's worrisome that he's former 5-star and never actually been productive. 69.5 passer grade last year, got injured after 3 games. There's some reps though where you're just like, damn. Like when he bull rushes, like he's super flexible for a guy that size. I just think Vikings with their track record of developing just long, big athletes like that, I think he would be a perfect fit for them.
All right, next 3 here. Buffalo Bills at 22 grab Shaun Wade of Ohio State. You have cornerback/safety, which I respect. 23, Philadelphia Eagles safety Andre Sisco. And 24, Green Bay Packers wide receiver Rashad Bateman of Minnesota. I'll start with Wade. I wrote an article today on PFF.com talking about there's been 17 cornerbacks drafted in the first round since 2014. All of them had at least 421 snaps at outside corner. And that guy who's the bottom there was Byron Jones of the Dallas Cowboys. Shaun Wade has 55 career snaps at outside corner. I think he better projects as this slot box safety prospect. I think that's where you want him to play too. I feel like it's treated way more as a knock than I want it to be. He's a very physical player, an excellent tackler, and has the mentality now in an NFL where oftentimes the slot cornerback is playing in run defense all the time, is the force player in run defense all the time. And I think Shaun Wade as a box slot type is well worth a top 30, top 40 pick.
And also, I said the Bills here. I gave him to the Bills because I think outside cornerback of the Bills is different than a lot of other teams and what they're asking guys to do. And it would be very similar to what he's asked to do in the slot in terms of a lot of coming up and tackling, a lot of making plays in front of them, a lot of zone drops. Like I think that would be a place where I would feel fine about him playing outside cornerback in a scheme like that.
Andre Sisco, the Syracuse safety, like I said, going to the Eagles.
He's going to go high. I just like if he runs a 4.3 with
at that size,
12 at his size with 12 picks already through 2 years. I don't care about the negative plays and that his run D is kind of butt cheeks, but he's going to go high. Like that's what teams look for is speed and ball production at safety position. He's going to go highly.
I mean, all I'm saying is if you draft Andre Sisco and you start him, book your tickets to the roller coaster because this guy takes a hell of a lot of risks, which I'm not saying is always a bad thing, but those risks need to become more calculated. And they're more calculated than, let's say, like Paris Ford, the Pittsburgh safety, who I think plays really reckless as well. Yeah, but I will say this, to talk about PFF's grading system a bit, getting forced incompletions, getting that ball production does lead to more positively graded plays in PFF system. So taking risks is important to grade well, but also giving up big plays will destroy you. Giving up big gains in the passing game will destroy your PFF coverage grade. We've talked about Rashad Bateman a ton. You've comped him to, who have you comped him to? Going to the Packers, have you comped
Allen
him to
Robinson?
Oh, Allen Robinson. That's right.
He should be a first rounder.
Rashad Bateman.
And the Packers should draft a wide receiver also.
I think with Rashad Bateman, I really do like him. The only thing that frustrates me is I just don't feel the separation between Rashad Bateman and Tyler Johnson is round 1 and round 5. I think there was more to Tyler Johnson than we knew off the field. It's why he was not invited to the Senior Bowl. Yeah. It's why I think he's not even playing in Tampa Bay right now. Obviously, that could be injury related, but I do think there's a lot of reasons why off the field, because he was the highest grade receiver in college football last year, Tyler Johnson of Minnesota. I think there's some off-field stuff there that keeps him from being his best, and I think some players or some evaluators recognize that. Indianapolis Colts at 25 grabbed Marvin Wilson, PFF's defensive tackle 1, though Barmore goes much higher because he's got the juice. New York Jets at 26, Alex Leatherwood. I love this guy's pass sets. I think Alex Leatherwood is another fun to watch offensive tackle because his feet move so well. Mm-hmm. And when you see consistent footwork like Leatherwood, it's easy to get excited about him. Compare Leatherwood to Jedrick Wills for me.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to project this tackle class right now after Sewell in terms of where they're going to fall. A lot of talented guys at the top, but Leatherwood's just not nearly as explosive as Wills, but man, I think he's better in pass direction. And last year, I mean, he had fewer pressures, only allowed 9 pressures. Jedrick Wills allowed 13. The guy, and the ones he did allow were like borderline. He's leaning on him off the edge. Like that matchup against Caleb Chase on LSU, he never really got on a rep. Like he had ones that were like borderline losses, but he never really got absolutely sauced. And I think that's kind of his biggest sort of positive, is that always under control, never really overextending himself, never getting himself in bad situations. And for that to be his first year as an offensive tackle, now obviously he was recruited as a tackle, but played guard early on in his career at Alabama. For that to be his first year at left tackle, it was pretty damn impressive.
Dallas Cowboys, I love this pick. It's Patrick Surtain of Alabama joining Trayvon Diggs for the Dallas Cowboys. Patrick Surtain, for those who don't know, or Surtain, doesn't know, 6'2", 202, big dude. And I think a very similar skill set to Trayvon Diggs. I think their weaknesses are similar, but their strengths are also very similar in that they're bullies, can be very physical at the line of scrimmage, long as hell. And when you have that length, it pays off. Even it helps you kind of correct those mistakes, like you spoke to with Chris Ballard's all motto or whatever you said.
And he's 6'2", 202. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets up to like 210 because he's only a true sophomore. He's got a big frame. The guy's going to be, he's going to be one of those just long press corners all his entire career that just lives at the line of scrimmage and lives in your pads. I think he would be a good fit. I'm not sure he lasts that long, but I do wonder about his speed. I don't think he's going to be
running with Trayvon Diggs.
I don't think he's a sub 4.5 guy. Yeah, I just don't really see that on his tape. I would be happy if he was. If he runs in the 4.4s, I bet he goes much higher than 27th.
All right, 28, 29, and 30. Let's rattle off here. You have a running back going in the first round. Tampa Bay Buccaneers get Travis Etienne, who would have been PFF's running back 1 in the 2020 NFL draft. He did decide to declare. The Clemson back goes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think Tampa at the back end, you could see running backs mocked them a handful of times. San Francisco 49ers grab Walker Little of Stanford, who is a tough evaluation, man, because the Pac-12 is not playing football this fall. Ideally, he has some opportunities in the spring, or maybe they spark up a home and home because he has not played a lot of football, but was this monster coveted recruit. I think former 5-star athletic ability, size, all of that.
So we talked about some of the guys that got screwed by the Big Ten canceling. He's the guy that got the most screwed by the Pac-12 canceling.
Oh, 100%.
72 snaps, one game, all of 2019. 72 snaps in 2 years going into the draft is just not going to go high. Like teams are going to look at that and be terrified of what, they just don't know what a guy's.
He's going to test well.
Years. He's going to test really well. Very good athlete. I think he can. I think he's very good. He would have been in the tackle 1 conversation. I thought just based off that Northwestern game, I thought he was. It was very, very good tape throughout the course of that game, but. Its sample size was tiny, and you just need to see more of it. So I think he's a good scheme fit for the 49ers. I could see them taking a chance, even if he doesn't play.
This next one here, I got a 30 rack of Miller Lite if this guy goes in the first round, because I love the player, but it would be an incredible rise. Chaz
24s.
I guess 24s.
Yeah.
I don't know. Chaz Surratt, linebacker of North Carolina, who formerly played quarterback, made the transition to linebacker this past year. Talk about reckless. Missed a ton of tackles. One of the highest missed tackle percentages at linebacker we've seen in the PFF college era, dating back to 2014. I think he needs to get a lot better, but I understand why he'd sneak into the first round. He's athletic. He's aggressive. Long. He has the mentality for the position. He's got good size. Like the tools, the traits, the mentality. I'm getting excited. I'm starting to get interested, but it's just like I need to see way fewer missed tackles, and he needs to feel way more comfortable at the position because he's not yet, just not.
That's the thing. He obviously needs this season as much as a lot of these guys, but the mentality is the part there that you just can't coach and that you see on his tape all the time.
People talk about traits that you can't coach.
Ferocious, the way he
mentality is important.
Attacks blocks, attacks ball carriers. Now, his form on tackles. Work in progress. He was a quarterback, man. The guy was a quarterback the year before.
His first game is rough. It's like so many missed tackles in that first game.
Giving him a little leeway here. I think he's a talented guy.
I respect it. 31, Kansas City Chiefs edge defender Jason Oweh. We talked about him a ton. The Penn State edge defender. He's got the juice. You see flashes. Reportedly ran in the 4.3s at 257.
5% body fat at 257, which I don't even think that's possible.
I don't know.
For a guy that young,
he's a freak, and I think he's had better production and honestly better pass rush moves than Rousseau in some ways. I don't think he's that caliber athlete, doesn't have the same frame or whatever.
He is dog shit against the run.
Yeah.
Like,
0th percentile in run stop percentage.
People talked about like a lot of criticisms of Julian Aguara where he was kind of like soft and played high against the run. Oweh is even worse than that. I mean, that's why you didn't play last year. That's why freak athleticism. That's why he was not an every down player, not a starter for Penn State.
That'll do it. Especially in college where running the football is you get plus.
Yeah, that's why guys don't. Yeah, that's why guys will not see the field in college. That's why, Patrick Queen was what they worried about with him, why he didn't see the field. So
lastly, Baltimore Ravens at 32, winning the Super Bowl, according to PFF's Mike Renner. No,
you heard it first.
Las Vegas Super Bowl odds. Safety Trayvon Moehrig of TCU. Why not Ardarius Washington? Stand by it. Stand by it.
No one's going to draft Ardarius Washington.
He's too small. Carl Joseph fears, but he's a better athlete than Carl Joseph.
What was Joseph coming out?
5'8",
Joseph was
5'9", or
190 though, right?
Yeah. He was a little bit more rocked up.
Okay, so 5'9", 175 is a tough ask. Now he's probably going to get bigger. But I
not taller. I'll tell you that right now, Mike.
I don't see it. But Moehrig, 6'2", 207, he hits like a brick too. That guy's going to be in the conversation for safety one. He had 2 forced fumbles last year.
Holland.
I think so. Holland didn't even get in this mock draft. I don't think the NFL is going to be super high on him because he doesn't have. He's got a versatile sort of coverage skill set, but he's not terribly athletic, and he's not like he doesn't play a physical brand of football. I don't think.
Yeah.
Compared to Trayvon Moehrig, who has that athleticism, much more physical. Like he had 2 forced fumbles last year just from hits.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't hit the ball. He just hit the guy so hard they dropped it. So that's the type of player Moehrig is, and going to the Ravens would be a sexy fit.
All right, before we jump to the Gregory Rousseau interview, I want to mention
Joseph
again.
was 205 coming out.
205?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a hoss.
Yeah.
Absolute hoss. I had high expectations for him coming out of West Virginia. That was before. That was when like big hitting safeties.
Louis Riddick called him a better prospect than Jalen Ramsey.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. I liked him. I don't know if I liked him that much, but let's talk about some names that didn't make this mock draft, and then jump to the Gregory Rousseau interview. We already mentioned a little bit about Javon Holland. No Chris Olave, Mike. Talk to me.
I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back to school.
Really? With no Justin Fields?
1 year, sophomore, 890 yards. Is he really
fair?
Not going to test?
No, yeah, he's going to run probably the 4.5s. Maybe he could break 4.4.
Deep wide receiver class. I don't see it.
Maybe he comes back. Quincy Roche. Gregory Rousseau had really high praise for Quincy Roche.
Yeah, no Roche, no Rumpf, undersized rushers. Just don't go that high unless you are athletically,
jetpack on your back like Von Miller. Last 2 that didn't make the list we wanted to highlight here. Hamza Nasruddin, the Florida State safety, and then Tyler Shelvin. Fat boy in the Bayou, man, whose tape is absolutely a joy to watch.
Shelvin
is fat. I mean, let's just call it what it is. He's fat. He plays the run. He 2 gaps, but you're not going to be an elite pass rusher.
I think the NFL is wised up to a degree that they're not going to draft a guy that is just a run defender in the first round. Hope so. But I think second round's probably where he doesn't come off the board. And he's a very good run defender. I'm not going to take anything away from him.
There's value in that. Steve talks about it all the time about get your really good interior run defenders on late day 2, early day 3. Yeah. That's where you get value drafting guys like Tyler Shelvin. Drafting him in the first round, it's going to be very difficult for you to get quality production for that pick, especially when you talk about paying these guys. Like quality run defending defensive tackles don't get paid a lot. I don't think that gets brought up enough. Draft positions of high value, both from a cap perspective and obviously a positional value perspective early in the first round. Receivers, offensive tackles, obviously quarterbacks. If you're drafting box safeties, interior defensive linemen that can't rush the passer.
The Shelvin, his cap is like a Michael Pierce second contract, which is what, $13 million a year? That's as good as you're going to get.
Yeah.
Like that, as you're an elite run defender, that's as good as you're going to get. You draft any other position, you draft edge, Joey Bosa, $25 million a year.
Jason Oweh can develop into something that's making 20 mil, 25 mil plus. Right. All right. Well, this has been fantastic. I really appreciate you doing the mock draft. Check it out. Check out the full mock draft. I know we broke down every pick, but go ahead and check it out at pff.com. Also subscribe to our new college football subscriptions, CFB Grades Plus and CFB Premium Stats Plus, and also NFL Draft
Guide if you get the CFB.
No, NFL Draft Guide's only for Edge and Elite subscribers. Okay. So you have to get both. You got to get both. You got to get both. So remember, CFB 25% off any college football subscription at pff.com. Another thing, rate and review this podcast. We're sending out 10 draft guys. If there's 10 reviews, all 10 of them get it. You know the math from there. All right, let's go ahead and jump to...
You probably have a pretty good chance.
You probably have a pretty good chance. Yeah. Let's go ahead and jump to Gregory Rousseau, that interview right now. Joining the 2-for-1 Drafts podcast is none other than Miami's Gregory Rousseau. Recently made the decision to opt out of the 2020 college football season, prepare for the 2021 NFL Draft. One of the best edge defenders in this class, PFF's top edge defender entering the 2021 NFL Draft. Greg, it's great to have you on. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. You talked a little bit before we jumped on training in Exos there in Florida, getting ready for this draft. I think, elephant in the room. Let's talk about this decision. Talk to us about what all went into this decision. Obviously, after your redshirt freshman season at Miami, Florida, opting out of this upcoming year due to obviously COVID concerns and wanting to prepare for the 2021 NFL draft. Talk to us about what all went into that decision.
It was really just a decision that me and my family made. We sat down, we talked about it. We thought it through, looked at the pros and cons. My mom is like a COVID nurse, so for me to be able to just take her out of that situation and just help her out and tell her she doesn't have to work no more. Like, I couldn't live with myself if I had that choice and if I had the opportunity and I didn't take it. So I just took the opportunity. But it was really hard to leave my team because I love those dudes. I love the whole coaching staff. Who Diaz is a great guy. But yeah, that's about what went into my decision. And now I'm just ready for a new challenge, just trying to be the best me come April and go as high as possible in the draft.
You're obviously probably still keep in touch with your teammates. What are their thoughts about this upcoming season in terms of the uncertainty about what's going into it this year?
I feel like the way they're looking at it is like they know it's a blessing to have the opportunity to play season with everything going on. And like, as you guys know, of course, conferences have already canceled, like the Pac-12 and stuff. So they're just taking it day by day and not taking it for granted at all. And they're working real hard. And I feel like if they do play season, I feel like they're going to win a lot of games for sure. Because we got a squad definitely in Miami.
A player I wanted to bring up was Quincy Roche, the Temple transfer to Miami. I'm sure you were, obviously, before all of this went down, super excited to team up with him on the edges there at Miami and really become a dynamic duo in the ACC. How much have you talked to him since you made that decision, and what are your expectations for him going from Temple, the American Conference, to the ACC?
I've been talking to him. Some we still play Madden and stuff, and we just joke around with each other. That's my boy, so we still got a good relationship. And I feel like he's gonna dominate the ACC because we had a couple of days of practice, and he didn't look like the dude who's like was playing in the Power 5 a year ago. I mean, in group of 5 conference a year ago, like he looked like a Power 5 dude, like a dominant DN in the ACC. He was looking like me and Jalen Phillips out there. We were all looking great in the spring. So I know he's going to just carry that into the fall. I feel like he's going to have a great season for sure. Like he's a technician, man. It's really fun to watch him work. And even in a couple of days of spring practice and over the summer, I learned so much from him just with like little things like hand placement and just being more detailed. And he even taught me some drills. He's been huge for me, honestly, in just a few months. Who's
the better Madden player? I feel like that we got to know that.
I mean, it's close.
I think that means it's Quincy. He hesitated.
No. I'm better, but if he has Lamar Jackson, he's probably going to beat me, though. Because he's from Baltimore, so he picks the Ravens sometimes, and they're pretty unstoppable with the quarterback scramble and the option and the throwing game because they have AJ. They have that fast receiver from down here.
Mm-hmm. Hollywood.
Brown. Yeah.
So last year I heard from Daniel Jeremiah that you were in the 240s playing. You were 247 apparently. He said you gained 20 pounds over the course of the offseason. Where do you see yourself 3 years from now in the NFL? How much you weigh in? What kind of defensive end are you?
That's a really good question, bro. Honestly, I feel like for like the pre-draft process, I'm not going to gain too much weight. I'll probably show up at the combine maybe like 265 or something just to keep my versatility because I feel like I could drop back if I wanted to and I could play inside. Because I played inside at like 247 last year. So I definitely feel like I could play inside at 265. And then I guess like it'll just go by like what that team does. If they want me as like a 3-4 like backer type dude, maybe I'll like lose like 5 pounds. Or if they want me to be a true 4-3 DN, maybe I'll gain another like 5-10 pounds of muscle. So I feel like it's just gonna go by that. But I know that like when I show up at the combine, I'm going to show up with my versatility, and not gain too much weight or anything like that. Yeah, at least.
I'm glad you brought up your versatility because at PFF, we look at, snap alignments a ton, where people play and the effectiveness at each position. You played up and down that Miami defensive line this past year. You played some nose tackle, true defensive tackle, penetrator there, and also along the edge. What do you think your ideal role is at the next level? Do you want to maintain that versatility, move up and down the line of scrimmage, or do you want to kind of, strengthen your ability at a specific position?
I do want to strengthen my ability at DN a little bit more and like get some like more true rushes on third down. But honestly, I'll play wherever a team wants me to play. I'm very comfortable playing in the nose. I love playing the 3-tech. It's so much fun. I can really play any position on D-line, like you just said, you know. So just being able to add that versatility to a team is great. And maybe I might not play only one, but I'm gonna strengthen every single aspect, every single position during this offseason while I'm practicing, you know.
So you mentioned you love playing three, like the 3 technique, and I have to imagine that's because you're playing against some big boys, some guys that don't have that lateral agility. You turn on the tape against Florida State, they end up benching a guard in that game because you were dominating on the interior. I'm sure that is probably a primary reason why it is so fun. You're playing against guys that need to stay in a phone booth and struggle to move laterally.
Yeah, that's true. Obviously, as you guys know, the tackles are usually more athletic than the guards and centers. And then while you're at 3-tech, you're a man closer to the quarterback. You know, if the end gets upfield and gets a good speed rush, you have the whole entire edge to work, and you're only you're way closer than the defensive end is. So I feel like it's a good opportunity to make plays, and it's like it just gets you in a one-on-one situation a lot of times with that guard. So I really love the 3-tech, but I love DN. I love DN as well, and I'll play any position the team wants me to play for sure.
So it's 3rd down. You got to get to the quarterback. What's your go-to move? What's the move you're going to deploy to get yourself a sack?
Let me think. If it's a scrambler, I'll probably go speed to power if it's a scrambling quarterback. Mm-hmm. And if it's like somebody who just like sits in the pocket a lot, I might do the double swipe, or I might take 2 steps up and give them just a little hezzy, and then just do a little club rip, or I might just do scissors. One of those. Yeah.
So talk to me more about kind of your pre-snap pass rush plan. You talk to NFL and NCAA pass rushers. They always talk about what they're thinking pre-snap, setting up certain moves and so forth. What is going through your head on a given like passing down that you're trying to set up or execute from a pass rushing perspective?
Well, for me, first, I look at the down and distance. If it's like first, second down, I look at the tackle's foot, because a lot of tackles give it away with their kick, whether the kick's like, if their foot's like way out, or if it's more facing you, it's probably a run. But a lot of tackles will give it up with that. And then when I'm about to get set, I'll start looking at the dude's eyes, see if he's looking at me, because a lot of times if they're blocking down on like a 3-tech, they'll be looking inside and they'll turn their head back, but they'll still be looking inside, just looking at where they're going. So I'll look at his eyes, and then after that, I just pick a move, and then I try to pick a counter move like in my head and see if the first one doesn't work, I go to the counter move. But if they short set me or anything like that, I just go straight off of just instincts, and just try to get them out my way.
So you're working out at Exos this fall. What are you trying to improve about your game? What are you working on and focusing on there in pre-draft here?
I'd say everything, honestly, because I got to simulate like me playing the season. So I got to get better with a lot of my techniques, just hand placement and just being detailed to everything. I'm going to work on adding strength and explosion like in my lower body. I'm going to add some good weight there. And
yeah.
what were you going to say?
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I'm going to just be working out hard every day, and I'm going to be focused on adding size and strength in my lower body and getting more explosive.
Well, what's interesting is obviously you opting out and preparing for the 2021 season. You have to find ways to improve your in-game skills more than just your athleticism, your explosiveness to prepare for the combine. What drills are you doing? Who are you working with specifically to like add to your pass rushing tool belt, to add to what you can do in game and improve those skills that really can only be shown off in game situations or even practice?
I'm gonna be doing like a lot of like just simulated pass rushes, like just pass sets with my coach. And I have a coach down here, and I have a coach at Exo, so I'll be working with both of them at times. And just, like you said, the simulating the in-game experience and just beating somebody and going hard every single play is going to give me that feel like I'm still playing football. So that's what I'm going to do that.
Have you gotten any feedback from NFL evaluators or anyone in that regard about where you could be drafted, where they see you as a prospect right now? Yeah, I've been
hearing like first round and stuff, but obviously I want to maximize that. I want to go. I'm shooting for top 5, and I want to be the first defensive player taken off the board. So I'm gonna keep on working towards that goal, and I'm really excited. I can't wait. I'm so hyped to see where I land come April.
So is there anything in terms of like you can do this fall? Because obviously you're not going to be playing football on a football field. NFL evaluators can't see you, but is there any other way you can say, hey, I'm improving this? Like, is there anything that you've talked about with, I don't know, maybe
send some
agent
videos?
Or,
I don't know. Like it's
something
a
like
whole
that.
different world now. You could do a ton of different things.
Yeah, send some videos and just like you said, just take videos of me running through drills and preparing and just showing that I'm still working every single day. Like you just said, that's exactly what I'm gonna do.
Dude, I'm gonna need some of those videos, Greg. I'm not lying here. You got to send those PFF's way. Another thing I wanted to bring up, and then we'll probably let you go after this is, talking to some evaluators. A lot of them are making somewhat of a Jadeveon Clowney comparison. A guy that is super athletic, has all this explosiveness on these tools, that moves up and down the line of scrimmage and is used in a versatile role. Have you heard similar things, or what's your opinion of Clowney's game and playing a similar role as him in the NFL?
I'd love to do that. And yeah, I've watched Clowney a bit on film. I like what he does. He is very versatile. And I also, I'm not as big as Calais Campbell, but I also like how Calais can play any position. So I watch him a lot too. But the Clowney comparison was great. And I could definitely see myself being like him when I get to the league.
Yeah. Is there anyone that you watch film of to take things and say, hey, that move or how he uses his hands there, I want to be able to replicate that? Are there any guys in the NFL that you really admire in that regard?
I like watching Brian Burns from Florida State because he just moves so well. And he's so twitchy, and he always has a plan. So I like watching Brian Burns a lot, and I like watching Calais Campbell a lot for my inside moves, because he reminds me of myself. He's a tall, long body. He went to Miami, of course, y'all know. But yeah. But anyways, yeah, I like watching Calais for when I'm looking at inside stuff, and I also like watching Aaron Donald too because he's so swift in there. Even though we're like completely different players, like the opposite. It's
pretty
really
much,
fun to watch somebody. It's really fun to watch somebody that skilled.
I mean, with Calais Campbell, that's a big boy, man. That guy's over 300 pounds. You trying to get into that weight? We talked to Calais Campbell on the podcast recently. He said after he retires, he just needs to lose enough weight to be allowed to go skydiving. Apparently, you need to be like under 220 or something. Are you going to try and push 3 bills like Calais Campbell?
I mean, maybe, man. I kind of like the way I look now, but I might
got to keep those abs.
Depending on if the team I go to wants me to play inside, yeah, I'll do it in a heartbeat.
Campbell was saying too that like early in his career to put on that weight, he had to eat a ton, like wake up in the middle of the night and eat and all that stuff. But he says as he gets older, you have the beers in the off season, you get the buffets going. It's a lot easier to keep on that 300. So I'd be careful there. Greg, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you coming on. I wish you the best of luck moving forward. I'd say good luck on this season, but obviously preparing for the 2021 NFL draft. I wish you the best of luck there. We need those videos, man. Got to see how you're progressing. We're excited about your talents.
Got you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate that.
Of course, man. Have a good one.
Yes, sir.
You want to get rid of me and get back to more great PFF YouTube content? All you have to do is push that button right there and subscribe. Thanks for watching.